The Bee Movie. Yes, if you thought RoboFire videos couldn't get any worse after I basically plagiarized someone else's entire video, well, it just did. And in all seriousness, if you've been living under a rock your entire life, the Bee Movie is this, well, movie that ended up becoming a meme a few years back. And obviously the meme has died down now. There hasn't been a meme about this movie in a while. But recently I actually started thinking, what made this specific movie so meme worthy, and how did it get so many memes made out of it? Because if you think about it, this is just some random movie that was released in the mid 2000s made by Jerry Seinfeld. How could it really get this famous, and how could it get so many memes based off of it? So I decided to watch the full movie without it being sped up every time somebody said the word bee. And yeah, this is basically my review slash my thoughts on the Bee Movie. Alright, so I guess we should start off with the story. So while the story isn't anything too amazing, I have to say there are a few creative concepts. For example, I really like the way they handled the hive, because in most pieces of fiction featuring bees, the hive is sort of portrayed as like a family of bees' house or something like that. But in this one, it's portrayed as more of a city, which I really like because it's sort of more like an actual beehive, and sort of with their own twist on it to make it seem like a human city. So basically, the movie is about this bee named Barry B. Benson, who graduated college with all bees, and he basically wants to leave the hive because he just found out that he has to do the same job for the rest of his life. Now, in case you can't tell, I'm going to be saying bee a lot in this video, so if you guys want to make a meme where you sped up the video every single time I say bee, which you probably won't because the Bee Movie meme is dead, but that's because there's a whole bunch of bee puns in this movie, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, maybe it was funny, like, the first time, but, like, throughout the whole movie, they just make so many bee puns, and it just gets annoying. And they say bee so many times that the word starts to lose its meaning, and it just sounds sort of cringy every time they say bee, sort of like how it's gonna be in this. So basically, Barry, as I said earlier, wants to leave the hive because he found out he's going to be doing the same job for the rest of his life. So he decides to become a pollen jock, who also kind of does the same job for the rest of the life. Yeah, see, I don't really get this part because the pollen jocks also do the same job. All they do is just go in the big wide world and collect pollen from flowers and give it to other flowers. Now, I get what he's saying is that he's finally going to leave the hive and see the world, but eventually that'll get old, because these pollen jocks, they've probably have been doing this for like a long time, and sort of just becomes nothing to them, and also starts to become just the same exact job. But still, they could have handled this a lot better, like maybe having the pollen jocks do like different tasks every day, or no, having them run into different obstacles every day. I don't know. They could have. And also, Barry was designed to sort of be, like, I don't know, he just looks like he would just be a regular worker bee, but for some reason, the general just let him become a pollen jock and leave the hive. And, I don't know, just made him sign a few things, like, Now, that beginning portion is sort of normal, and after this, you'd expect it to turn into another movie like Bug's Life or Ants, where Barry meets a bunch of other insects with different lifestyles than him, and that's how he sort of learns and ends up beating the bad guy, which ends up being a bigger insect. Actually, that doesn't happen. He ends up meeting another human named Vanessa, and he actually talks to her, like actually speaks English. Because what you'd expect is that they're speaking English because you obviously can't have buzzing throughout the entire movie, or else it'll be like the Star Wars holiday special. But apparently not. Apparently they can speak English perfectly without having actual like human vocal cords. So that's very sort of unrealistic, I guess you can say. But honestly, I really do actually enjoy this, because if they sort of went the route of Bug's Life or Ants, the movie would have just been like any other movie, and instead they sort of made it different, and I can actually really respect that. And the only character that ever seems to have a logical sense in this movie is Vanessa's husband, yes, husband, Ken. He's the only one that ever seems to be questioning what's going on. He's the only one that ever seems to be questioning how bees can actually talk and sue the human race. And he's the only one that's concerned that his own wife is basically cheating on him with a bee. He's the only one that has actual logical sense in this whole movie. One thing I really briefly want to comment on is the animation, because the animation is surprisingly good. I don't know how, but DreamWorks, they animated this movie very well, and they animated, like, portraying sort of movement of how the bees move, like how they fly around really well, and it's really just nice to look at. Overall, this movie is actually not what most people might expect, because instead of being like Ants or Bugs Life, it's sort of more like its own thing, because I really like a lot of the concepts they did. As I mentioned, there's a lot of creative things, and they actually use the concept of them being bees to their advantage, and they changed a lot of things from the sort of cliche animated insect movie. And this movie does have an all-star cast of actors, but they don't really use that too much. They actually really write actually likable characters, and yeah, I can actually really respect that, because they could have easily said, oh, Jerry Seinfeld's in this movie, you guys remember him? Yeah, you should totally watch it. Instead, they don't really, mention that too often, and I didn't know that a bunch of actors were in this until recently, actually. So, yeah, I guess that would be it for this internet YouTube video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry that I plagiarized from my last video. That's genuinely my fault. So, hopefully this video will make up for it. And, yeah, I'm really sorry for that. But I'll see you guys in the next video. And it won't be plagiarized. Okay, goodbye.